Hello, friends, and welcome to your Daily Detroit. It is Thursday, March 13th, 2025. I am J.R. Stays, coming to you from our studio at Techtown. It is 313 Day. Norris Howard, Prince of Brightmoor. Are you excited?
You got to put the Prince of Brightmoor on the show on 313 Day. It is standard, it's mandatory. That's what we do. I don't care when the city was founded. 313 Day is the exact birthday of Detroit. That's all. According to me, that's when the city's birthday is. It's 313 Day. So we get another year around the sun in our fair city.
Are you ready for Tokororo?
I am ready. We are so excited to see y'all all there tonight. We're going to have a great time. We're going to be chatting. We're going to be having drinks. We're going to have trivia and all that great stuff to celebrate 313 Day. All Detroit-centric trivia questions. So you better bring your thinking caps and your almanacs and all that and get ready because we're going to have some brain teasers as we have a good time at Tokororo. If you are not familiar with Tokororo, it's over there by Easter Market. Great place. Sold out, though.
Yeah. Thank you to archaeologist Mickey Lyons, who will be hosting our trivia, and we will be doing a live show.
That is correct.
The intermission, which will be a lot of fun. It is, man, we got a lot to talk about.
It's a very busy day, Jer.
It's a very busy day. But I did see that you had a chance to get your legs stretched, go out and about, and you saw the Detroit Pistons. How is Little Caesars Arena nowadays?
You know what? We played Washington and we beat them. It was a pretty dominant game from Detroit start to finish. But I will say I was a little disappointed. I was disappointed with the crowd. The arena is beautiful as it always is. Little Caesars Arena is actually one of my favorite arenas in the country. I think it's really great. But I was disappointed with the crowd, man. It's like here we are vying for a playoff spot, and we playing a team that we absolutely were going to beat. And, it was half full. I was really disappointed by that.
Well, you know what I'm half full on? We have new information.
We do.
Around plans for the Detroit City FC Stadium. We've got our hands on a document from the Detroit Economic Growth Corporation that outlines the brownfield plan for this project and some of the numbers and some of the timelines. Let's start by saying this is good news because this is a sign that the project is moving forward. Now, this is the plan. This isn't the approved plan. It comes with a number of letters of support from, Mexican towns, Southwest Detroit, local businesses. But there's some outline numbers and timelines in here.
Yeah, I think one of the important things to take into account is that what we're talking about is this is going to be the cost of the demolition of the old Southwest Detroit Hospital that currently stands on that plot of land currently.
And cleaning up the nearby parcels
Correct.
As well, because there are parcels that they own on both sides of the railroad tracks near Michigan Avenue and 20th.
That's correct. So this is talking about kind of cleaning up that area that will allow for the eventual construction of the stadium and their sort of annex buildings that they're going to need to use for facilities and all that other type of stuff.
There's also thoughts for apartments and developments. There's
Correct.
A lot of stuff that's still needing to come together.
Yes. So based on this document, it says that the construction is slated, or abatement and demolition will begin July 2025. So between July and October, you will start to see that come down. And then they're saying they're expecting that demolition to be complete by April of 2026.
Costs? Or what are they looking for?
Yeah, what they're looking for is around $5.9 million in brownfield credits for this. The total cost of the demolition is hovering around $6.2 million, and they're saying that 5.9 of that will be reimbursed over the next 21 years in the form of brownfield credit.
Now, I know that there are a lot of people who are critical of public subsidy, especially around the fandom of Detroit City FC, but I will put in a reality check here that this is extremely normal for a project of this size, and I don't I don't think you get anybody to develop this property without some sort of remediation, because there is a lot that you got to handle with this.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just want to reiterate, they're saying the total cost of the demolition will be 6.5 million, and the eligible expenses, meaning what they would get reimbursed, is around 5.9.
And this is not approved yet.
It's not approved.
Okay.
This is the layout. This is the overlay for the play, basically.
Right.
This is the X's and O's of it. And eventually, hopefully this will get approved. And listen, I think that this is a positive sign. I know we had a special talking about this particular stadium development when it was first announced. Details were very, very sparse back then in terms of any sort of timeline. This allows us to sort of get a better grasp on when we'll be able to see DCFC begin to play in the new stadium that is yet to be named and all that.
There were some renderings floating around that the club said were no longer correct. There were much more of like a simple look, a very English old style community look. I know that there's a lot of moving pieces to this. One thing that the club mentioned in a press release when kind of this whole push came out was that the goal would be the 2027 season for this opening. I always felt that was aggressive. No fault. I just, looking at how things happen, thought and felt like that was an aggressive timeline. I still feel like it is.
I mean, yeah, you're not
My
about to,
opinion.
you know, it will be very difficult for you to build a, 10,000 seat stadium.
Well, more than that,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
We're talking really more like 14,000.
Yeah, 14,000 seat stadium in a year. Like it's just not happening. And so I think that was a bit of an aggressive stance. I think, kind of the moving pieces, as you said, the ability to sort of negotiate, kind of see what the tax expenses would be, to see how much the total cost of the demolition and the construction would be, was going to add to the timeline of this project. But ultimately, this is still good. This is still a good sign, a step in the right direction for the development of a new stadium, a new attraction in the city of Detroit, in an area, by the way, that is fully on board, as you said at the start of the segment. Pretty much total support from the Corktown and Southwest Detroit neighborhoods and the businesses around it. This is positive.
Because this feels like the kind of incentive that you would just need to have, I don't expect too much opposition to this.
No.
And this doesn't cover the construction side. I'm very interested to see what the next stage is going to be, because I think the demolition, everybody agrees that old hospital's got to come down.
Yes.
The construction side is where I'm really looking to see what is that going to look like.
And that's where we'll start to see if the numbers kind of stay pretty moderate or if they balloon out of control, right? Because as we know...
Or can I push back a little bit? I'm not going to say out of control, because stadiums are expensive.
Stadiums are expensive, but what I was about to say moving forward is that the cost of construction is going to be different than what it was when this was first announced.
That is very true.
So
with the steel tariffs, lumber,
exactly,
all in flux. We don't know a lot of details, and we're not going to know details for a while.
Exactly.
To be honest.
And so kind of having that understanding going into it, is it a project that gets scaled back? Is it a project that kind of begins to be more expensive than previously thought? We don't know. But the situation based around all large scale constructions is different now.
Well, if everything goes in the tank, we'll just go ahead, get a bunch of shovels, and we'll make 4 hills.
Just 4 hills.
Four hills.
And paint
One
some
on
lines.
paint some lines, 4 hills.
And let's go.
On either side, whatever, get some goals.
Let's go.
And we'll go. It's just
We don't even
4
need goals.
large
We'll
hills.
just lay 2 book bags down. And just shoot between the book bags. That's
no shade on the club. We're talking about the
we're just
state of the world.
Yeah, the state of the world. No, listen, the club has done what they needed to do in order to get access to the brownfield tax credits, and I applaud them for it. And I think it's going to be really, really important to see what the next step is, and if this particular project or this particular proposal gets approved.
Well, you were at a political event this week.
Yeah, in my capacity as press, as I want to do, I was able to go and check out the Garlin Gilchrist announcements shindig, so to speak. It was over there on the boulevard at JM Handy,
Lieutenant Governor Garlin Gilchrist.
That is correct. Formally announced that he will be running for governor, throwing his hat against Secretary of State Jocelyn Benson, and of course, current Detroit mayor who is running as an independent, Mike Duggan. It is definitely something that has thrown an extra layer of complication, I think, into a race that was already going to be quite unique for Michigan.
What were the vibes?
I think the vibes were positive. I think the vibes were good. Lieutenant Governor Gilchrist leaned heavily on his Detroit roots, his local roots, his ability to kind of go into the different communities around the state, as well as his background as an engineer, as basically a tech guy, which I think for some people can be off-putting, but I think in this case, it's something he's looking to do to try to diversify what Michigan is all about.
Didn't he work at Microsoft?
He did.
And he headed up the city of Detroit's technology department for a while. People
that is correct.
Forget that before he ran for city clerk that eventually ended up where he is today. He's a very compelling figure. Seeing this in relation to the rest of the race, I'm going to quote the Metro Times here, who talks about a poll from MERS by Target Insight that says that if the general election were held today, the poll found, and this was just a few days ago, that 42% of the 600 respondents said they would vote for Jocelyn Benson, a Democrat. 30% of respondents favored John James, while Mike Duggan sits at 21%. This is a little different than an earlier poll that we quoted by Glenn Garriff Group. I would say, number one, it is so very early in this thing. But I will say name recognition will matter. The other thing that they highlight is that Duggan, seems to take more from Republicans than some expected. I want to say here at Daily Detroit, we expect that.
We did. And I think because it goes to show that I think when we're talking about sort of moderate Republicans or moderate conservatives and moderate Democrats, that the moderate Republicans are going to go with the guy that makes them feel kind of the most safe. They're going to go with a safe bet. They're going to go with a guy that they've seen has or a person that has kind of more of a track record. And what we're seeing on the polling is kind of what we say here at Daily Detroit is that particularly Metro Detroit voters are going to look at somebody like Mike Duggan and say, hey, there is a Detroit pre-Mike Duggan and there's a Detroit post-Mike Duggan. And Detroit post-Mike Duggan, I go to that Detroit. I hang out in that Detroit. I spend my money in that Detroit. That is going to be a very powerful narrative in a general election in which he's going to be able to say, I was able to improve our state's largest city. It's going to be very compelling.
On the Democratic side, and this is true everywhere, name ID is very important. People will not listen to you until they know you.
Yeah, and I think that's what's going to make the sort of Democratic primary incredibly interesting, as you have Jocelyn Benson, who does have great name recognition, but also so does Garlin Gilchrist. He's a guy that a lot of people know of. He's also incredibly tall. So
I actually saw data recently that said that the taller you are, the better chance you have in politics.
Yes.
Which is crazy to me, but that is, we actually do as humans. Is Gilchrist's name recognition as strong outstate though? I'm going to push on that a little bit.
I don't think it's a strong outstate, but he ain't got to worry about outstate. Like it's a governor's election. He ain't got to worry about
primary.
Yeah, but for the primary, it's a governor's race. He ain't got to worry about outstate. Here's what he's got to worry about. He has, I think, based off his announcement and based off what the field is right now, what he has to worry about is capturing the exurbs, because I think Jocelyn Benson is going to have a strong hold on not just women voters, but also the more moderate wing of the Democratic Party, older millennials, the voters who maybe even decided that they didn't want to vote the last few times around. I think she's going to have a stronger pull on those voters, where I think Garlin Gilchrist will have a strong showing with intelligentsia. I think it's going to be a battle between those two in Ann Arbor. He's an Ann Arbor guy. He's a Michigan guy.
Well, I mean, he's also a Detroit guy.
And he's a Detroit guy as well.
I mean, both of them live in the city of Detroit, to be honest with you.
Yeah, but he's a Detroit guy, like, and wears it on his sleeve. And that was a major cornerstone of his speech yesterday.
What do you think of the insight polling on the Democratic side that say that 55% go for Benson today, 12% for Gilchrist, 12% for Attorney General Dana Nessel, which I don't know if she's going to run.
I don't think she's running either.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that just goes to show that not only is Benson's name recognition strong, but I think also she seems to be kind of more aligned with what the party is kind of moving towards. I think she is the more established candidate in terms of state level politics. And I think people really seem to kind of like her. So I think it is going to be a definite uphill battle for the lieutenant governor in the primary. And that's considering if it's just these two names added. We don't even know the full field yet.
I want to ask listeners, I know it's early, it's real early, but we've been doing our mayoral series of interviews. We've got another couple scheduled up coming for you. I'm really excited about. Do you want to talk to these candidates? Let me know, because I think they're looking to get their names out there. And we're a group of people that I know that our audience votes. They're very interested in this stuff. And I'd like to hear what you think. dailydetroit@gmail.com or 313-789-3211. I want to hear from you. The other thing I want to hear from you about, we have our survey up, dailydetroit.com/survey. If you haven't taken it, it really helps us shape our coverage. Find out who's out there, who's on the other side of the earbuds and of the newsletter readers. It's very important to us, and your voice really does matter. As well as thank you to our members on Patreon. Local media requires local support to survive. Yes, we do at times have local sponsors, but media that is independent, that is fearless, requires your local support in order to keep going financially so that no individual can pull our funding. You know, there was an example in Houston that I read about where one major funder decided they're not going to do it anymore. And that's one of the challenges about relying on foundations and others for your money, because you have to serve who pays the bills. And if who mostly pays your bills are the people, then it's the people that you are serving. Would you agree?
I'd agree 1,000%, Jer.
Well, with that, I will see you at Tokororo. Devin O'Reilly, Man About Town, will be on the microphone tomorrow. I'm Jer Stays.
I'm Norris Howard.
Thank you so much for listening. Remember that you are somebody. Happy 313 Day. We'll see you around Detroit.